Good morning, everyone. Welcome to another episode of Xah Talk Show. Today is 2020, May 23rd, Saturday, 9 o'clock in the evening, San Francisco time. And what are we going to talk about? I don't know. So if you have a question for me, type with my name on it. So Stoker Quo asks, is Racket worth learning? That depends on what that depends on you, your personality, your situation in life. For example, a better question would be, does it have market value? I mean, can you find a job with that language? And for that question, the answer is no. Now, if you want to learn a programming language for studying programming languages per se, programming languages by itself, Racket is. So if you are academic, you are experimenting with programming language features, then Racket, the full name would be Racket Scheme Lisp. Okay, that is the proper name, because Lisp, a branch of Lisp is Scheme, then a branch of Scheme is Racket. So Racket is the Racket Scheme Lisp. You must not forget your parents, your roots. So Racket Scheme Lisp. So if you are interested in programming language research, Racket is known for that. It's pretty good. You can do that, but still, it's not. For example, there are issues that the Racket scheme language will not do. For example, the syntax, the nested parenthesis syntax. Now, for a Lisp language, you can never change nested parenthesis syntax. That is why the PLT scheme people who created Racket, they ditched Racket. Instead, they invented Pyrex. JTeam90 gave me $200. Oh my god, $200. So I'm going to answer JTeam's question. So let me finish about the Racket. So I have a few articles on that. So let's see Xah Racket Lisp. Okay, I don't have a tutorial for Racket language, but I have some minor stuff. Let's see. So Xah Racket Lisp. Let me show you. So let me talk about Lisp for a little bit. Actually, I talked about Lisp quite often in my talk show. So some of them are good. So you can go to YouTube and watch some of my. Just go to search YouTube XahTV. I have quite a few. I would say at least 3 of them is worth watching, including Emacs Lisp. So I have a tutorial on Emacs Lisp. I also have a huge rant about why Emacs Lisp sucks donkey ass. It's one of the worst language in modern society, especially addressing the Emacs phonetics. In programming community, the hacker types phonetics, typically they know nothing. They know nothing except a very, very extremely narrow view of a specific language technicalities, such as the Linux people and the BSD people. The BSD people, we have an expert here, that is L. Cook Lewis, in our discussion XahTV Discord group. So you guys, if you have not already joined Discord, okay, fantastic people, variegated opinions, diversity, the real diversity. So Racket Lisp. Let's see if I can find some of my articles. So Racket using Emacs Racket Mod. Okay, so I have quite a lot of languages on Lisp. Okay, there is one of my YouTube videos. And many of them, they become history, because in the programming community, just like society in general, you have fads and fashions. They come and go. For example, in programming, you have patterns. During 2000s, pattern is raging all over. patterns. Every programmer will mouth about patterns. Oh, you need to do this factory pattern. You need to do that pattern, anti-pattern, and then later on you have anti-pattern. These fuck idiots. But today you don't hear about patterns much anymore. But you must remember, many of you are younger generations. You don't hear about that, so you don't know. Instead you focus on what is current fad, such as JavaScript, React, Angular, React, this, that library, Google machine learning library. Fuck. But back in 2000s, throughout 2000, pattern is a thing. Every programmer, you'll hear it every day. There's a pattern, this or that. Then you have, of course, Agile. Extreme programming. Agile. The daddy of Agile is extreme programming. Then it becomes Agile, and and they invented unit testing, the idiocy. I talked about that before. Unit testing and pair programming. All these. Then these days we have the social justice scan. It's beginning with, so we have hacker types, programmer nerds. Then you have bro coders. Bro coders. They are not nerds, they are social people, but they started to do programming. Then today you have the social justice scan with their code of conduct. I've talked about that, a code of conduct. If you see a project, open source, if you see there's a code of conduct, never ever contribute nothing to it. Never ever. In fact, never ever contribute to anything open source. Okay, I do not recommend it. Some of you do, such as Luis. Yeah, that's fine. But my point is that remember when you are contributing to code, to the open source, the open source code, what you might be thinking is that, you are contributing to society. That is part of your thinking, and mostly the other part is that, so you have selfish reasons. For example, you want to contribute so much so that you can put that on your resume. Put down your resume looking for a job. Look, I'm a contributor of React. Look, on GitHub. But anyway, my point is, when you see a open source project, never ever contribute, except, even for putting on your resume, that's not worth it. Okay, there are much more better things you can spend with your time that is more efficient for your personal benefit, such as create a program by yourself, something useful, such as like Facebook. Okay, like Facebook and Twitter. Do it for yourself. Never ever fall into the trap of the open source contribution. In particular, if the project is big, such as whatever Google or Facebook's projects, don't ever contribute. Okay, that's my recommendation. Or Linux, never ever contribute. And remember, when you are contribute, remember the word contribution. You are spending your time, energy, which is equate to money in many senses. You are devoting your time to someone else's work. That is what you're doing, and typically you will not get a credit. Okay, never contribute, especially for example, Emacs. Emacs community is the worst. Okay, I have contributed in a sense, big or small, for the past 15 years. Indeed, Ergo Emacs Mod. I worked on that for 10 years with help from David Capello, and now there is another guy who is leading the project. I'm sorry, Matt. Okay, Matt. So I did so eventually the Ergo Emacs project is now part of GNU. I have to sign a paper, GNU Emacs. You can find it on the GNU Alpha repository. That is Ergo Emacs project. So I worked on that for 10 years, and many bugs reports. It doesn't taste good in your mouth. But I did, when I had problem about 7 years ago, many Emacs people, and actually this is sad to say, I write my blogs in English. Hold on a second. Let me get to let me finish my train of thought. Okay. So I've been writing my blog. It's all English, no Chinese, for starting in 1996. Okay, and I started to write Emacs blog starting in 2006. And that is also the year I started to learn Emacs Lisp. So basically, I've contributed in one way or another to the Emacs Lisp or Emacs community for 10 years. But one day I had a problem. I'm about to die, going homeless. And I asked people for donation. This is around 2011 or 2012. You probably have seen it. It's on Hacker News and Reddit. It's the first thing you will see when you search my name. So I asked for donation, and people, many of you people donated. So in the end, I got like $7,000 or $8,000. Not much, but that's that's donation from people. And one of the interesting thing is that I write my blogs in English, no Chinese, basically no Chinese whatsoever. But most of these contributors are from China. This is very interesting. Most of these 7,000, half of them at least are from China, who I never met. I don't know Chinese programmers at that time. Now I know some because I started to dive into the Chinese programming. So they are from China. So here we see a racial issue. Today in America, the white people society, you have social justice fuckheads with their diversity and equality and that. But in my case, I write in English. I live in America. I'm American. For 10 plus years. When I asked for, when I'm about to die, I asked for donation. Half of them came from Chinese people in China who I've never met. I never talked. I don't know them. Why is that? Because race. Okay, so that is race is a natural thing, and it's also a healthy thing. Today's social justice gun, these fuckheads, they are creating sophistry. They are basically doing things for their political power and benefits. Meanwhile chanting about racism. Oh, we need to eliminate racism. The social justice people, especially their leaders, they are the most racist, the fucking scum in society. So okay, so that's a digression to the we're gonna get back to code. So from Lisp to open source project, GitHub, to code of conduct, to racism, the donation situation, to Chinese programmers, we digressed. Now let's get back to some of the Lisp. Then we'll get to the question about I'll see what you guys are saying. So Racket Lisp, the question is it worth learning? That depends on you. Okay, is language X worth learning? That is the most common question asked by programmers for the past 20 years, and that is also kind of the most silly question. I mean, it's not exactly stupid because it's very common. It's natural question. Everyone, when you are young, is really because you are young. You started to learn programming. There are so many languages. You want to know which one is worth learning, or which one is best to learn. You want to spend time on languages that's worthwhile. You don't want to spend 2 years on a language that has no future or not interesting, things like that. So it's not it's a good question. It's a common question, but partly because it's so common, the question really don't have any depth. So what you really want to know, you want to look at the question more deeper. Like, what do you mean by worth learning? It depends on the person, depending on your background, on your preferences. Like, do you want a programming language for having a good future, security, finding a job with a language? In that case, you want to go with C++, Java, Python. Okay, these are the language you want to go. And if you are the type, if you have money already, you are learning programming just for your personal interest, then you have many other choices. Haskell, Prolog, Erlang, Lisp. and Scala, Julia, many interesting programming languages, and also depends on preference. Like, do you have a affinity for the elegance thing, like many of my type of people, many of you guys, we are interested in languages. Typically these people are really interested in good languages, like elegant languages. For example, we wouldn't like Java, okay, JavaScript, Perl, okay, C++, typically we do not like. So we want some sort of elegance in some sense. So there are many aspects to what language is worth learning, and so there is that about Racket. Okay, so Racket. So I have quite a few interesting articles about Racket. So Racket 2, they are starting to, this is actually, I did a video talk about this in 2019 September. They are actually thinking of throwing away the Lisp parentheses. Let me show you another article. Let me show you some of the articles on Lisp. Okay, Lisp Infix syntax survey. Now this is one of the most popular thing among Lispers. When you begin to learn Lisp, or when you are in Lisp community, everybody is talking about Lisp parentheses, whether it's good or bad. And here's a survey of all people who try to create a infix syntax for Lisp. And these people are, many Lisp fanatics, these idiots, quote Lispers. They think that if you don't like parentheses, then you are a beginner. Like, they think you don't get Lisp, you don't get it. You are not fit to learn Lisp. Go back to your C land, to go back to your Java land. That's these fanatics think. Every time you mention about the parentheses, they will say that. But again, these people are idiots, because over the past 30 years, all these projects that try to create a Lisp with a infix syntax, these people are Lisp pioneers. Okay, they are almost always the Lisp experts. So I've collected many projects. So, for example, let me show you. Okay, so and by the way, the very first Lisp by John McCarthy, in his mind, okay, parentheses, it so happens it's just a side effect. Okay, in his original design, he wanted M expression, not the parentheses. The parentheses, the nested parentheses, is called S expression. S stands for symbolic. It just happens to be that way. Well, there are reasons. Okay, anyway, and let me just, so the original Lisp creator, he wanted M expression. But however, that never happened, because that takes time to implement. So it just never happened. And so the S expression is just like the raw thing. You start with the X expression. You are supposed to have a wrapper, a syntax wrapper with the M expression that translate to S expression. It just didn't happen. So that's John McCarthy, the modern Lisp. The modern Lisp fans, they idiots, because they are fanatics, not really because idiotic, because they are fanatics, so they don't see things. So then you have 1973, you have Siegel, okay, created by this guy Wonk and Ronan Pratt, of computer scientist. You see this screen? He's known for the Knuth-Morris-Pratt algorithm. These green are links to Wikipedia, so you can read about their biography. So this guy, 1973, he created a Lisp version, Emacs Lisp, with the infix syntax. Then you have Mathematica, Stefan Wolfram, very famous today, 1988. By the way, we have a person in our group who is the typical, I can tell, the typical Unix philosophy, the tech geekers. Excuse me for my opinions, okay? That is what Kasa show is about. Now, so he has flamed Mathematica several times. He has flamed Mathematica several times, saying that Mathematica is, it's like it's not that great. You should use open source. The Sage Math is good enough, and Maxima. Oh, Mathematica is just this or that. Actually, it's not that great. You should, Sage Math today is actually in every way it's comparable. No, that's the most idiotic crap. Okay, that is like, the distance is so great that you make such a comment is extremely idiotic, ignorant. I have studied Stefan Wolfram since let's say 1992. So from 1992, let's say, to 2005, I have read every single article about Stefan Wolfram, and every article that Stefan Wolfram has written that's online. I have read every one of them. And back then, you don't have internet as much. You have Scientific American, the magazine. He's got articles in Scientific American by Stefan Wolfram about computational mathematics. If you are in math community, there's a big issue about whether computers will be the future of mathematics. It's a big topic. So anyway, so I've read quite a lot about Stefan Wolfram, and of course, I worked for Wolfram Research for half a year in 1995. So anyway, so Mathematica is a Lisp. Okay, it's actually, the syntax is more pure than Lisp's nested parentheses. The fucking Lispers. I so despise them. Okay, I think I started to talk about Lisp almost non-stop because I have so many topics. Am I doing good with the Lisp topics, or should I stop? Okay. So JTeam says, by the way, I also think Mathematica is shit. They give me 2 weeks trial, but the fucking thing takes 2 days to download. you actually, I think you are in the positions to simply just buy it. Just buy it. Actually, it depends on what you need, right? Anyway, so Alan, thank you, Alan, for the money. So let me quickly go over my Lisp articles, and I'll see what to talk about today. So anyway, this article is about Lisp, project that creates alternative nested parenthesis syntax. So then you have Dylan, 1992. Now Dylan is created by Apple. The Dylan language is basically it's a Lisp. Okay, it's supposed to be the modern industrial Lisp created by Apple, 1992. And in the beginning, they use Lisp syntax, the nested parentheses, but after a year or two, they decided to change it to kind of the C or Pascal syntax. Why? Because they realize that if you use parentheses, then nobody will learn it. That's a valid reason. Nested parentheses in some way it's good, but in some practical sense it really sucks because human animals are not designed to see something uniform, like everything. For example, keyboard keys. You have a massive grid. Everything looks the same. That's no good. In nature, you will never see a giant array like squares, perfect squares aligned vertically and horizontally. You'll never see it in nature. You see trees, you see rivers, they are irregular. And when things are irregular, you can recognize it very fast. You have a visual recognition. But when things are extremely nested, for example, look at this Mathematica pure nested syntax. Look at it. You see, this is the pure form of Lisp nested paren. Instead, Mathematica uses the square bracket. you see, it's hard to see. It's hard to see which one is nested in where. Then you need indentation. It helps somewhat. Okay, so this does have problems, especially when you need to do a lot of math. You know, so there are good reasons. So Dylan in 1992 from Apple, they created Dylan, which eventually died because for many reasons, historical reasons. When Steve Jobs came back, I don't know if it's him or someone else killed it. It's a big history, Dylan. Then we have Scheme, Scheme SRFI 49, which is a module that allows you to have infix expression, I expression they call it. Then you have Readable Lisp S expression project 2006. Then you have quite a lot. Almost every year, you have people, Lisp experts who want to create alternative syntax. Okay. Then you have ArcLisp from Paul Graham. ArcLisp. Paul Graham wanted a language for hackers. He in his belief, the best language is a language designed for hackers, whatever that means. Paul Graham created ArcLisp, which when I look at it, I think it's idiotic. Then you have Racket Lisp. Now Racket Lisp itself it's not purely nested parentheses because you can also use square brackets or curly brackets interchangeably with the parentheses. That is Racket Lisp. Okay, but even this change is not good enough because then Racket Lisp, they created Pyrex. Let me show you. Okay, XahTV proliferation of programming languages. Actually, I can just go to their website. So anyway, when I did several videos about Lisp. When it comes to Lisp, I'm gonna talk non-stop. So there you see the Racket Lisp, which is Scheme Lisp, the PLT scheme, which became the Racket Lisp. This is their logo. Then this is the logo of Dylan, Apple's Dylan. But I want to show you Pyrex, which is from the same people who got tired, who find problems with the parentheses. So they created Pyrex. Show it. So many languages. There it is, Pyrex. Okay. So what is Pyrex? Pirate, not Pyrex. Pirate. From the same people who created Scheme Lisp, Racket people. So they created Pirate. As far as I know, it's just Scheme in Python syntax. Scheme Lisp in Python syntax. These people have gone nutty. But why are they do that? Because I haven't studied the issue in detail, but I kind of realize I think that's because the Lisp parentheses, you in many ways it's good, but in real world you have lots of problems with pure nested parentheses. And the thing about Lisp is that Lisp has reader, syntactic macros and these idiots, many people, including Lisp professors. Okay, I have a Lisp professor who is following me on Google. He is professor in academia in France. We argued, many of these Lisp fanatics, they think that the Lisp macro, the reader, it's more complex, technical complex. In Lisp languages, you have a reader, you have something called a reader. Then you have, they redefine the sense, the meaning of syntax. Anyways, I'm not going to talk about that. I did some other day. I think I did before. But anyway, so to these fanatics, they believe that in a Lisp language such as Common Lisp, you could use the reader, the part of the Lisp facility, to create a syntax that is not nested parentheses. Okay, many of them believe that. We argued with you to the end. to the death. They are wrong. They are simply these because they are phonetics. They stop seeing things. They define. They like when you argue with them. When you talk about syntax, you see in their head, the meaning of syntax is different from yours. It's different from the entire computer science because these Lisp fuckheads, in Lisp they think something else is the syntax. They argue with you endless. But anyway, in the end, it is impossible to use the Lisp macro readers. The symbol, what's the proper name? Symbol macros or the reader macros. Reader macros. That's the proper name. It is impossible to use the Lisp reader macros to create the infix syntax. Okay, so that is I believe that is why the Racket people created Pyrex, which is in Python syntax, which is, as far as my own opinions, the Python syntax is the most idiotic thing. And I have like 10,000 articles on that. Just search for XahTV Python syntax, you might find it. So anyway, some of the let me just wrap up about this. So this article, nested syntax design, XML versus Lisp. Back then, around let's say 2000 to 2008, XML is ruling the town. XML, everyone wants to do XML. XML is the future. Every programmer is mouthing about XML every day. This hacker, like today, you may not hear it because you are younger, and these fads just pass by you and they become buried, so you don't see it anymore. And today you are concerned with your own fad or whatever you are talking about. So back then, 2000 to 2005, let's say, XML is all over town. Everyone is doing is saying XML is the future. You got XML database. You got language whose syntax is pure XML. You got XML, and we can see a consequence of this because today in Apple or in Microsoft, many configuration files they become XML. Those before it's like Unix style configuration, you just have simple lines. But during 2000 to 2005, when the XML is everywhere, they started to change all configurations for thousands of programs into the XML format. To this day, you can see a piece of history because on Apple, Mac OS, many of the their apps, their technology, you go to the library. Maybe I can show you. You go to the library. Okay, let me see. Do I want to show it? You go to the library directory. Okay. Let's see. Library. Yeah, there it is. Okay. So you see, this is. Let me magnify. Okay. So this is the Apple's home directory. Then you have a directory of library, and this directory is mostly configurations by different applications. So by system, you see you have assistant, audio, caches, calendars, core services, color pickers, and you also have a keyboard configuration here. Many of them are all XML. Okay, this happened during 2000 to 2005 because before it was not. They started to change everything to XML. You can also, I think Microsoft Office, I don't know today, I think it is true, Microsoft Office also changed their format into XML. So now the Microsoft Office is also XML. And also Microsoft, their keyboard, come with a software called IntelliSense. And the format of the keyboard configuration is XML file. So XML was huge back then. People, they are XML. They are saying they are databases in XML format. Just like then today you have OOP databases. The fucking idiots, these fuckheads. But anyway, then XML got killed by HTML5. This group I talked about before, the what the fuck group from Google and Opera, mostly in the beginning from Apple and Opera. They killed XML. So that's the end of XML. Oh, and also JSON. So JSON is there first. JSON, then HTML5. Together they killed XML. But when XML is all over town, then Lisp people got angry. They are going to say, oh, the XML is idiotic. XML is Lisp syntax done wrong. You see that everywhere in the Lisp communities. So I argue with them, then they ban me. I'm banned everywhere in lots of places. So now we can look back. You can see. So I have an article here, Nested Syntax Design XML versus Lisp. Why am I writing that? If I don't write that, it's forgotten history. Now this is a piece of history. I'm telling you. You can see what's going on back then. What are these Lisp people are saying? And I have a bunch of articles. I think some of them linked to Google Groups. Yeah. So anyway, so lots of Lisp articles, and here there's an article about how using Emacs Racket Mod. So why do I know Racket? Because actually I coded Racket for about 3 months doing a homework for someone. You want to do your homework, pay me, I'll do it for you. Okay. Then so this is around 2015. I did homework writing a Racket, some kind of mud game for someone, and for doing that I read the fucking entirety of the Racket manual and tutorial. I believe it hasn't changed. So you go to the Racket website, they have a manual, and they have one tutorial and one manual. I read the entirety of them. That's what I do. I read computer documentations. so I was coding it. So I also installed Racket Mod. Very good. Okay, Racket Mod, very good. So I have a short intro. Then you have you install the Racket. So this is my kind of intro or my own notes. I tell you how to install it. I haven't been updating them. I haven't been doing Racket since 2015. But Racket, I would say, is a better Lisp. Okay. Now here, this article is critical. It says, can Lisp macro change Lisp syntax? The answer is no. And I have a detailed account telling you why. I have excerpt from various Lisp documentations. So for example, this excerpt is from Racket. So according to Racket documentation, they tell you the answer is no. You fucking Lisp phonetics, fuck. Then this document is from Closure. Okay, they tell you no. Then this document is from Common Lisp. They tell you no. This Lisp fucking phonetics. There's and from the book, the most famous book, Practical Common Lisp, very popular around 2005. They have a chapter, Macros, which is idiotic, by the Peter Sable guy. Wait, I don't think, is it written by? No, there's no link back to the. Stupid. When you have a website, that provides no link back to the top of the page. Go back to the index. That's really idiotic. Okay. So anyway, so actually I probably talked random too much. Okay, so I guess let's go back to what we let's go back to the questions. Okay, so hello, good morning, Shikasiko, Ni mentioned Sikasiko. These guys, you guys stop using these fucking nicknames. Just use your fucking real name. You got one name on YouTube, you got one name on Discord, you got one name on Twitter. This nerds, they want or they want to be anonymous. Just use your fucking real name. Except you are persecuted by government, which I mean that's not actually happening. Okay. So JTeam90 says, I don't worry about last stream mishap. I donated because you did something or said something, and not because I want to you to answer question. Act. Question is just in case if you run out of topics. Okay. Ever hear of Sonic Pi? Your thought on music in general. Okay. So Sonic Pi. No, I don't recall what that is. I don't remember. Let's see, Sonic Pi. So now I'm drinking tea. Oh, Sonic Pi is a coding environment. Let's see. And we have Sonic Pi tutorial and a Sonic Pi Raspberry. Okay, let's go to Wikipedia. Magnify. Okay, that's too big. So Sonic Pi is a live coding environment based on Ruby. Okay, originally designed to support both computing and music lessons in schools. Developed by Sam Aaron in the University of Cambridge Computer Laboratory in collaboration with Raspberry Pi Foundation. Thanks to its use of the Super Collider synthesis engine and accurate timing model, it is also used for live coding and other forms of algorithmic music performances and production, including at Argo Graves. Its research and development has been supported by Nesta via Sonic Pi. Okay, so Sonic Pi is the live coding environment based on Ruby. Now, what the fuck is live coding? Okay, live coding sometimes, okay, so let's see. Live coding sometimes referred to as on-the-fly programming, just-in-time programming, and conversational programming. Makes programming an integral part of the running program. What the fuck does that mean? Okay, am I still good? Doing good? How long have I been talking? Hold on a second. Let's take a break. Let's intermission. I've been talking for 53 minutes, I guess. Okay. So let's go back to live coding. What is it? So it is most prominent as a performing arts form and a creativity technique centered upon the writing of source code and the use of interactive programming in a improvised way. Live coding is often used to create sound and image based on digital media. Okay, I don't know what the fuck is this. Some sort of millennial thing, and in my eyes, as far as I can see, it's no good. A number of research projects and research groups have been created to explore live coding, often taking interdisciplinary approaches, bridging the humanities and science. Fuck, is this okay? So this, as far as I know, from what I can see, this is verging into the social justice fuckheads thinking. Okay, the live coding. Now coding, okay, so coding, coding is programming. You have to think to solve problems. And now they have, live coding. First you have pair programming, then you have live coding. What are you supposed to do? Okay, I suppose creating music live and creativity, improvise, audio, visual, The figure of live coding is to perform the act of live coding, usually artists who want to learn to code and coders who want to express themselves, or in terms of Wang and Cook, the programming performance composer. Live coding is also an increasingly popular technique in programming related lectures and conference presentations. So when you're doing a programming is an activity, kind of like doing math, a bit like doing math, and you have to be creative, and you have to be knowledgeable. You have to know, you have to analyze the problem, you have to think a lot, study a lot, solve a problem, writing code. You have to understand the programming language, and all these are not really compatible with like live coding, like improvisation. Like, you write a code, you don't, if you make a mistake, things go wrong, it doesn't compile, or you could try, you could do live coding, just fuck around, like especially when you are learning, experiment. That's learning. Okay, like, this article says it's usually for beginners. That's learning, that's not coding. Usually artists who want to learn to code, and coders who want to express themselves. The fuck. So coding is not an activity to like to do a show. I could do a live coding, but it's not, usually the result is not so good unless you are competitive. And coding is, you sit down, you study for for hours, months, or years, then you write a code that solves problem without bugs. It's not really something suitable for live coding. You could force that into doing it. You could force it. You could force anything, but it's this is what the millennials, these current, today's hippies, they are trying to do. They are trying to make it into some sort of art. So Sonic Pi is a live coding environment based on Ruby, originally designed to support both computing and music lessons in schools. Lessons for beginners. Okay, let's look at the screenshot. What live loop haunted do sample? Yeah. Okay, that's not something I'm into. You could have great programmers into this and doing great things. I don't think that's for me. That's my opinion about live coding. Jagan, thank you for your money. So Jagan, also I have a question. Jagan's question is, more Lisp, Racket, LAN don't need to have sex syntax. You can hook Lex-Yak directly into reader, for example. Or you can? I see, I didn't know. I'm not, I don't know Racket that well. I only did it for 2 months. So let me read the comments. Okay, some more comments, and maybe that'll be it today. For today, we have been talking for 1 hour now, I think. Yeah, about 1 hour. So any more questions, put it into the chat and I'll see it and I'll get to it. So, and let me drink tea. You go to China, they're drinking tea every day. Everyone's drinking tea. And you watch Chinese movies, the kung fu movies. Everyone is drinking tea. I learned a few years ago that tea, actually there's a element in tea. The chemist study. There's element in tea that makes you calm. What is that ingredient? So there's caffeine in tea, which we know what it does. It makes you alert. But there's also an ingredient that makes you calm. So Alan says the proper term is Brogrammer. Yes, indeed. And Alan self-proclaims that he is a programmer. Alan is programmer, millennial programmer, flexible, not socially awkward nerd who cannot do nothing except just hunked over in front of a computer. Alan is a programmer. He can code. Relax and code, do some code, and then next day he go out, going out with his girlfriend or do social gathering and then talk to Alan, and also draw artwork. So is XahFly's keys open source? Yes, of course. L. Cook, my goal is not to improve society, nor help it, but rather to improve the experience I have with the operating system I proactively use. That's a good reason. So L. Cook is a expert of BSD. What, NetBSD or is OpenBSD? So L. Cook has been contributing code to BSD kernel, I think, right? Many times, and also being credited for it. Hey, good morning, Aaron. Aaron Hall, as I have talked. So Aaron Hall is a Python expert. He is the on Stack Overflow of all the Python questions. He's got the highest decoration stars. He answered the most questions. I'm doing okay. So L. Cook says, I also don't see any issue in having vested interest in when contributing. Okay. Ethnocentric preference. Yes, Emacs is great. Thank you, JTeam 90. By the way, JTeam 90. So yesterday we were doing type racing, and I saw your name on the type racing account. Typing. Is that you? You should be. You should also blog in Chinese. Yeah, it takes a lot of time. And actually, I have been interested in getting into China. Actually, a lot of people on Twitter are from China. They are programmers in China, and they go over the firewall to follow me. So I have quite a lot fans in China. Like every time I tweet in Chinese, I got responses. Meanwhile, most of the time I'm doing English. There's a race issue. There's race issue. Why do Chinese follow me? Because I'm Chinese. Okay, that's a reason. No other reason. In the same way, white people, many of you guys, white people, you get white people supporting you, not supporting Chinese. But many American, they'll say, oh, that's racism. Race is a fundamental. It's a basic natural thing, and it is with us, and it is not a bad thing. Okay, it is not a bad thing. It must be because it's part of humanity. If you want to get rid of racism, you are getting rid of humanity. Everyone becomes a machine, robotic. Like robotic code and not doing. And we cannot even achieve that. Race. Okay, the race perception, it's part of your brain. Okay, you cannot get rid of it. Today, the social justice scan, they are crying about racism. They are simply trying to get more power. Okay, back to China, as they say, everyone in business knows China. You have huge population, like 1 billion. On Earth we have about 7 billion people, right? And 1 billion, 1 point something is Chinese. So 1/5 of people on Earth is Chinese in China. So they say, we hear on the news all the time, China has a huge market. If you are Google, you want to get Chinese, you want to get into the Chinese market, because then your the people who buy your things will increase 10 times, 100 times. That's reality. So I've been wanting to talk to Chinese people since I also speak Chinese. But it actually takes quite a lot of effort, because then I have to. Yeah, it does take a lot of effort. Okay, so we'll look at the nice math graphics ads on XAH sites. What my I think that's it for today. Thank you guys for watching. Let's see what else. Let me just read a few. Okay, let's just read my names. Okay, Alan says, which Lisp variety do you think has been the best marketed? Favorite logo among the Lisps? Which Lisp has been the best marketed? Okay, that would be Closure. If you really like Lisp, and you want to get a job with Lisp, go with Closure, nothing else. Not Racket, not Scheme, okay, not Scheme Lisp, not Racket Lisp, not Common Lisp, not Emacs Lisp, obviously. You want to go with Closure. Get really good, study Closure, get really good. You will find a job in San Francisco over here. There's a lot, jobs, some jobs for Closure people. They are hiring in San Francisco Bay Area. The Silicon Graphics here, and industry. So Closure Lisp is industrial language. Common Lisp was, Lisp was back in 1980s. It died out. For today, Common Lisp, Common Lisp has no future basically. Common Lisp, no future, and Scheme Lisp also kind of no future. Racket, in academia, yeah, you do language research, but no future. Okay, so that answer, which Lisp variety do you think has been the best marketed? That would be Closure. And the Scheme is known from 1980s to 1990s to early 2000s. Scheme is known as the most elegant language, but actually that's not true. So you could say it's actually good marketing. Why is Scheme known as the most elegant language? Back, not like today. Today you have so many languages. Beginning since, let's say, 2006, you started to have one new language every year. But before 2006, from 1980s to, you don't have that many. Scheme is known as the one of the most elegant language. Why is that? Because in part due to the book SICP, SICP, which stands for Structure and Interpretation of Computer Programs, which is a great book. I've read that in 1998. I talked about in my videos. I have an article on that. So yeah, Scheme is known for the most elegant language. But now I know quite I know Lisp. Do I think Scheme is the most elegant? No. Not even. No, not. You got quite some way to go before you say Scheme is the most elegant language. In my opinion. And Alan also asked about favorite logo among Lisp. One of the problem is like Lispers. Lispers, they are like a cult, like Emacs people. They are nerds. They are the hacker type, which is dying out. Today you have millennial gen programmers. But anyway, so Lisp people, they are hacker types, and they don't know marketing, so they don't do well with marketing. So for example, I have an article on Lisp logo. I tell them, in my opinion, you need a logo, but they are saying, oh, you don't need a logo. So I have an article on that. Let me show you. Lambda logo tool. I have quite a few articles. Lisp needs a logo. Okay, let me tell you a bit history about. So this is around 2006. I'm arguing, I'm like fucking with these Lispers, Lisp fanatics in comp.land.lisp news group every day. They call me a troll. I'm not exactly a troll. Okay, I'm not there just so that, oh yeah, say something stupid so and make a mess. That's not I want. That's not what I do. That's not what I like. I don't. That's not my thing. Okay. I look at things. I have my opinions. I think you are wrong. I go there and say it in a flamboyant way. I say, I tell you, you are a fucking idiot. That's what you are. I tell them, when I disagree with their opinions, and they say I'm a troll. I've been banned here and there. I have a record, a documentation of those. Just search for XahTV ban XahTV. You'll see quite a few articles, documentation, the historical record of what happened. So anyway, so Lisp logo. So this article back in 2006, I was arguing. And some not always antagonistically. I'm talking with them. In our community. Lisp is a community I'm in, just like on Discord. You guys have seen I went crazy flaming people in XahTV Discord group. So I'm telling you my opinions as it is. No hard feelings. Okay, you can have your opinions, whatever your opinions. But there's one. Don't hurt people. Okay, if you are hurting people, don't do that. But as far as opinion goes, you like that. I think you are wrong. I just say it. So anyway, so this needs a logo. So back then I was telling them, we need a logo because, and they don't, these nerds, they are say small problem. They say, we these nerds, fucking idiots. They are saying we don't need a logo. Wait, who needs a logo? Logos are for idiots. No, we don't want to become stupid. Inviting people who don't know nothing. You look at pretty pictures. We don't need that. We are Lisp. We are solid. That's what they are. These fucking idiots. But anyway, they have actually tried to have some logos. For example, this logo, that's very old. Okay, this one is used on the lisp.org website back in 2001. History. So today lisp.org, I guess it's already gone. You can check whether it's dead. I don't know what's going on with that domain. So then you have people who made these badges, to promote Lisp, the alien technology, and you have these, they become popular for a year or two, then they die out. 2005, they want to, Lisp fans, they want to promote. I tell, every time you talk to these nerds, they'll say, oh, you don't need a logo, that's stupid. They seriously, these nerds, these hacker types, they seriously believe you are wrong. They think, yeah, they think, you don't actually, that logo is the most silly thing. No, we shouldn't have it. That's because they don't know society. They don't know how things works. They only know technicality, in a very narrow way. So back then also I argued with the Python fuckheads. Back in 2005. You might find my articles in the Python mailing list, which is connected to the Python mailing Python news group com.lan.python. They are connected. So when you post to mailing list, it also get posted to the news group. If you post to the news group, it also gets to the mailing list. So I think they banned me. I don't. Yeah, they don't. They call me a troll. Okay. So I was back then. Python do not have a logo. They don't have an official logo. However, today we know this is right. This is the Python logo. But back in 2005, they don't have a logo. Okay, but they have unofficial logos like this one, and some people use. You have a variety of them. They are trying to promote Python fanatics. They are trying to promote Python. And I'm saying, so in the Python news group, when the subject come up, I tell them, actually we need a logo, and every one of them is like, no, that logo are for idiot, these fucking nerds. Then eventually, okay, now then in What year? In 2005. Yeah, so before 2005, they don't have a official logo. In 2005, Python become bigger and bigger. They started to have a logo. Now, once you get big, okay, when you are small, this niche Lisp group, or you don't know what the fuck you are talking about. You don't know. You just have a bunch of these nerds, patting each other's back, the technicalities, Linux kernel and stuff. But when your group gets big, you start to have other people. You have marketing department. You have human resource department, like Google. Okay, you have equity department, the department of diversity and equity. Fuck, the scums of the society. So, but my point is, when your organization or group becomes bigger, then you actually start to have things that becomes like what you see in society. Then you have people realizing you do need a logo. Logo. Two nerds, logo is like clothing. Oh, you don't need it. Every nerd is like in a shirt, right? But clothing is important. Often, especially in modern society, to represent yourself in different situations. You want to put on different clothing, right? Logo is the same way. Logo is a pictorial representation of an identity, your name. For example, my name is Xah, and Python is a name for the programming language. A logo for Python is a pictorial representation of the name. Okay, it's in other words, it's a name, a picture version of the name, and it's useful. It's useful in you could think of it as a marketing thing, which is true, but it's not just that. For example, in Chinese, signature is also a identity, a representation of you, signature. Meanwhile, in Asian culture, in China, Japan, Taiwan, you have seal. Instead of signature, you have a seal, which is kind of a picture that represents your identity. That's what logos in many ways, that's what the logos are. So logos are not just, oh, it's just the marketing for stupid people. We don't need that. The fucking nuts. Okay, I think that's it for today. Let's see. Let's talk to for Jagan. Okay, one more question. Jagan says small Lisp. What? Jagan says small Lisp racket land. Don't need to have. Okay, so any more questions? Green Deck. Good morning. So what's the best computer algebra system besides Mathematica? Mathematica is the best by far. Just use Mathematica. Well, that sounds very interesting. Trading for S is like a conversation, so practicing this with computer maybe improves your skill in real life. What is that about? Okay, I think that's it because I've been talking for too long. But I joined 20 seconds late. I'll fuck you all. Type racer, haha. Okay, so JTeam90, he types like 110 words per minute. So JTeam90, are you on Discord? Join Discord so we can chat, So Jagan says, we are about to close. Jagan says, designer of Racket was asked, why didn't you write Racket for the JVM? It would be popular like Clojure is now. He says, I don't want to be popular. I want to be right. That's what those nerds think. That's a classic answer from those nerds. Now, who said that? Who exactly said that? Because I'm familiar with some of these people. So yeah, those are nerds. I don't want to be popular. I want to be right. Like Emacs people also say that often. Like every time in fucking debate about changing of the Emacs user interface, some of the Emacs fanatics nerds, they'll say, "Oh, we don't want to be popular. We don't want to be popular at all." but actually, you don't want to die. Okay, when you are unpopular to a degree, you die. Death becomes of you. Oh, Matthias or Felinsen. Yeah, they are great computer scientists. I think I would respect their views. Anyway, okay, I think that's it for today. Let's see. I talked for 80 minutes, I think. Let's check. Yeah, that's it for today. Thank you guys for watching. Today is fun, and and thank you, Tim, for the money. Bye, guys. Oh, actually, we only talked for 70 minutes. So I'm gonna close down in 2 minutes. Let me tell you about the thing about scheme. I really hold on a second. Scheme, I really wish Scheme or Lisp is popular. I've been on the Lisp community since year 2000, since 1999, and I love Lisp. Although I have a lot of complaints with fighting with the Lispers, but in general, all things considered, among languages, I love Lisp. Okay, because not necessarily because of the parentheses. I like it. Okay, but because it's functional programming, and I think it's far better than Java, C++, fuck, far better than Perl, fuck, than Python, fuck. Okay, I prefer Lisp over them, over Python, Perl, C++, fuck. Okay, I really love Lisp, but the problem with the fucking Lisp nerds is that they go nowhere. Now 20 years has passed. Now it's 2020. Where is Scheme? The fucking tiny community Scheme. Lisp nowhere. The fucking, that's the problem. That's why I despise these nerds, fucking fuckheads. They go no they you want to be, you join their community, you want to be like them, you go nowhere, you fail apart like me. Okay, like me, you beg for money on the street. That's what happens. Wouldn't be great. I so much wished for, let's say, Scheme. Google is hiring, Scheme is the Google's language of choice. Google is doing Scheme, artificial intelligence, machine learning language libraries, Scheme. Facebook is hiring Scheme coders. Wouldn't Microsoft, that's what we want, right? But then you talk to these Unix philosophy fuckheads, these phonetics fuckheads, the Emacs fuckheads. They are saying, oh, we don't want to be popular, we want to be right. Fuck them. Bye, guys.